Once upon a time, in a grand and majestic castle nestled on a hill, lived a king and queen who ruled with kindness and grace. The castle stood tall, its walls stretching toward the sky, while down below, villagers went about their daily lives, looking up to the royal family with admiration. The king and queen had recently been blessed with a baby boy, a prince whom they adored more than anything in the world. His laughter filled the castle halls, and his bright eyes brought joy to everyone who saw him. The little prince had a special chamber, a crypt decorated with the finest silks and treasures, where he slept peacefully under the watchful eyes of his loving parents. But one fateful day, the prince went missing. The queen searched every corner of the castle, her heart pounding with fear, and the king immediately sent out his best guards to scour the land. They mounted their horses and rode through the vast forest surrounding the kingdom, searching high and low, but there was no sign of the prince. As night fell, despair settled over the castle. The queen stood on her balcony, gazing out into the dark forest, her heart heavy with grief. As she wept, she noticed something strange in the distance, a faint glow, like a small fire flickering deep within the woods. Mesmerized, and not knowing what compelled her, she quietly slipped away from the castle and ventured into the forest, following the light. The night was cold, and the trees whispered softly as she walked deeper into the woods. As she neared the fire, she heard a voice, a hauntingly beautiful song drifting through the air. It lured her closer and closer until she came upon a small, strange figure sitting by the fire. It was a hideous, twisted dwarf, his appearance eerie and unsettling. The dwarf saw the queen approach and, with a sly smile, motioned for her to sit on a large branch beside the fire. Though her heart was heavy with fear, the queen sat down. The dwarf's eyes gleamed as he asked her, "Why are you so sad, my queen?" Tears streamed down her face as she told him, "I've lost my baby. I would give anything to have him back." The dwarf chuckled, a low, raspy sound that made the queen shiver. He reached behind him and, to her astonishment, revealed the baby prince. "Is this the child you see?" he asked. The queen gasped, her heart soaring with hope. "Yes, that's my baby," she cried. "Please, give him to me." The dwarf's smile widened. "You can have him back, but only if you fulfill 3 requests," he said, holding up 3 gnarled fingers. "First, I want all the gold in the castle. Second, I want every high-quality piece of clothing you own. And third, I want enough food to feed me for years." The queen, desperate to hold her baby again, agreed to the strange demands. She returned to the castle and began fulfilling the dwarf's requests. She ordered the castle's gold to be gathered, the finest clothes to be collected, and enough food to satisfy anyone's hunger. But something strange happened. Each time she completed a task, she noticed the villagers had suddenly become wealthier. The poor had gold, the cold had warm clothes, and the hungry had food. After completing the last task, the queen hurried back to the forest, eager to see her baby again. She found the dwarf waiting by the fire. But this time, his smile was colder, more menacing. "There is one final request," the dwarf said, his voice low and dangerous. "If you want your baby, you must kill the king." The queen's heart stopped. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. She loved the king dearly. How could she ever harm him? Torn between her love for her husband and her desperate desire to save her child, the queen returned to the castle in a daze. She found the king lying peacefully in their bed, fast asleep. With trembling hands, she took a knife and approached him, her heart pounding in her chest. But just as she drew near, she heard a soft cry, the baby's cry. The queen dropped the knife, and there, beside the king, was the little prince, safe and sound. Overcome with relief and joy, the queen scooped up her child, cradling him in her arms. She wept softly, not out of sorrow but out of gratitude. The king awoke and, seeing his wife and child together, embraced them both, knowing something had changed. By morning, the kingdom was transformed. The villagers had everything they needed: gold, fine clothes, and food. The kingdom prospered, and the people loved their king and queen more than ever before. No one knew what had transpired in the forest, but from that day on, the royal family lived happily, their bond stronger than ever. And as for the dwarf, he was never seen again. Some say he vanished into the depths of the forest, while others believe he was just a shadow of the queen's deepest fears. But no matter the truth, peace had returned to the land, and the love between the king, queen, and their prince remained unshaken for all time. And so the kingdom flourished, and they lived happily ever after.